What's going on, everybody? Welcome to my YouTube channel. And I got something in my eye, which is always a good way of starting a video. At this point, the thing in my eye is probably my finger, but whatever was there originally is annoying. But welcome to my YouTube channel. It's good to have you here. It's good to have an intro that doesn't make any sense. But welcome. My name is Kieran. I do help people using a spiritual perspective. The whole point of this channel is to help people understand spirituality in a grounded way, to apply ideas and philosophies that I think are not very new age, but more grounded, more based in practicality and realism. Things that you can control and things that you can sense. So I try to help people understand things through a spiritual perspective, okay? And I think this is kind of like a good segue almost into today's topic, which is about strip clubs. No, it isn't, but that would be a good topic to talk about. No, instead, the whole point of this video is really about our relationship with spirituality. What does it mean to be spiritual? Okay. Now, to me, I think early on, my first introduction into spirituality was really, I suppose you could say, New Age spirituality. That really was the crux of it. That was the most of it. That was the crux of it. Isn't the right word. It was the majority of what was being shown to me was spirituality, New Age spirituality. I was in a space where all that sounded very good, made a lot of sense, and some of it still might, and a lot of law of attraction and stuff was being thrown at me, a lot of crap, crystals, different kinds of drugs, soul family, twin flames, soulmates, a lot of lingo, a lot of words, a lot of ideas, and some of it resonates still, some of it doesn't. And one of the things that was shown to me at that time was this concept of spirituality, which I think plays out a lot like religion, actually. Because I think we, and by we, of course I include myself, tend to treat spirituality like it is something outside of ourselves. Like it is something that we need to have a system of rules in place to guide us so that we can treat this outside thing as important. So when it comes down to it, when you really think about spirituality in general, you really have something that you think is outside of yourself, i.e. a god, whatever you want to call it, or you believe that it's within yourself, okay? So to me, spirituality is not necessarily about what is outside. That is not how I choose to see things. It's not really what resonates with me. And in fact, I think a concept within spirituality that I used to resonate with is the idea of our higher self. Now, the reason I do not resonate with it anymore is not necessarily because of the concept or the idea, because I do believe that there is, let's say, a soul, for lack of a better word, that there is a deeper part of ourselves. But that's why I don't like using the word higher self. I used to, but higher self implies, much like a god, that it is above me. That you always have to ask and look up and get on your knees and be pious and be humble. That your higher self is above you, so that you're always asking yourself, what's next? Where am I coming from? What am I going to do? And yet, when you think about it like your deepest self implies that there is something within you that holds the answers, that it's here, that it goes beyond, right? It's within. Higher self implies without, or that it's on the outside. Deepest self means that it's coming from within. So to me now, I'd like to think of it as your deepest self rather than your highest self. The idea is the same, as in there's still this concept of a soul or a being of which you truly come from, rather than this identity, right? This deepest self. And this deepest self provides us with answers, intuitions, feelings, understandings, wisdom. And not all the time is this stuff obvious. I think many times we're not supposed to know everything about our path, because if we did, we wouldn't do things. We wouldn't take the necessary actions, good or wrong, right? Good or bad. Our identity, our egos tend to associate things in terms of guilt and blame. And so we often feel bad and do things out of selfishness, because we think of ourselves as egos, as minds, as the name that we've given, right? My name is Kieran. So I think of my life as Kieran, revolving around Kieran. But what if it didn't revolve around Kieran? What if it revolved around the deepest sense of myself, right? A name, a being, a soul, something. It doesn't matter what you call it. For me, I have my own interpretation, my own name. I don't need to share that with you. You don't need to share that with me. But we all have our own version of this. A soul name, a calling, a feeling, a deep, deep, deep sense of what we are. That within us is our real self. That is where we come from. We come from our deepest self. So in spirituality, I think there's so much of this emphasis on not only this concept of a higher self or a higher power or something outside of us, like a spirit guide, a God, an angel, a deity, okay? There's also this system of rules, which are very similar to religion, and how we're supposed to act, what music we should listen to, what we can do, what is considered spiritual, and all this other stuff. And I think we've lost ourselves in this element of spirituality, because spirituality has become something which includes a list of chores, and for many people is becoming a disillusion. It's becoming something that people are becoming disillusioned with. People are having a more difficult time dealing with spirituality, feeling spiritual even, okay? I'll be honest with you guys. Over the last few months, maybe even longer, really, to be honest, maybe even almost a year, I've been increasingly feeling this isolationist feeling from spirituality, from a community, from something greater than myself, from these ideas. And it is because at some point I stopped paying attention to what was important, and I started treating spirituality in the way that it was given to me initially, which was a series of things to do. But it's not about that. It's not about doing things. It's not about appearing spiritual. It's not even really about meditating. I mean, are things that you can do to make yourself feel better, but it's not about any one thing. It's not about appearing. It's not about joining into a community or feeling like you're the best or whatever, okay? It's nothing to do with your mind. It has nothing to do with what you think you should do. Okay, it's really not to do with these huge outward actions. Okay, it's not about miracles. So many people think spirituality is about miracles, religion's about miracles, God's about miracles, source, the universe, it's about miracles. It's not about miracles. Miracles are something that happen. They're moments, but those moments only happen because of a series of other moments that lead up to that. So miracles seem miraculous. They seem random. They seem like these moments that occur to make us all have clarity and stuff like that, to make us feel better. But it's usually a result, I think, and really, of these other series of moments. And what those series of moments are is a communication with yourself. To me, that's what spirituality is, or it's what it should be. And it's what I've started to come to realize lately, is that spirituality is simply how we communicate with ourselves, our deepest self. Can you spend a few minutes every day? 5, 10, other things that I can't count with just these two hands, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 50 minutes, an hour. How long can you spend a day, whether it's all in one moment, or to say, like, are you doing it all at once or parceling it out? How long can we spend with ourselves? How long can we talk to ourselves? Can we meditate maybe, but how long can we be still? Can we ask ourselves the questions? Can we ask our deepest selves, hey, how do you feel about this? How would you feel about this action? How would you feel about moving here or going there or doing this or taking that job or going on a diet or meeting this person or becoming friends or going out or having a drink or smoking weed or not smoking or whatever? Good, bad, everything in between. How would you feel? What do you like? What do you want? So many people have no idea what they want, okay? I don't really think that we're supposed to know what we want. We're a pretty bad judge of what we want, I think, human beings, that is, okay? But regardless of that, which is a different really topic, the idea itself of knowing what we want is a difficult thing to understand. And how are we ever supposed to know if we do not take the time to ask ourselves, hey, what is it that you want? What do I want deep down? Who am I? It's not something you'll get in some amazing epiphany right away. It's something that you do every day that builds up. And then one day you do have a miracle. You do have this epiphany, this clarity, this understanding and realization. It will happen, but it will only happen after a series of moments. And to me, that's what spirituality is. It really is. It's these moments, these little efforts of communication with yourself, with your eyes closed, open, laying down, sitting, being still, no distractions. This is what spirituality is. Everything else, the practice of things, the collecting crystals, the praying to spirit guides, God, however you want to look at it, doing pendulum, reading tarot, taking spiritual drugs like ayahuasca and all this other crap, going to these singing bowl ceremonies, and I don't know, putting your feet on the grass and all the crap that you think you have to do to be connected to nature and life and everybody. Okay, great. Some of that might help. Some of it might not. Some of it might be dumb. Some of it might be smart. I don't really care. Okay. But that's not what real spirituality is. It's not about all that stuff. It's about communicating. Can you communicate with yourself a little bit every day? And eventually, if you do that, will you feel better? And I think the answer is yes. I think genuinely, we will all feel better if we spend some time with ourselves every day and get to know our deepest self. To me, that is what spirituality is. It's not about the outer, about what's above. Okay, I cannot make any claims. There are things that I believe, past lives, the concept of a soul. I honestly think life is just like Star Wars. If you've ever seen Star Wars, I think that is a perfect metaphor for what life is. The truth of life. I think it's Star Wars. Okay? I don't think there's Jedis and shit, but that's not really what I'm trying to say. I mean, there could be... I haven't been able to force push anybody or force choke them, which would be a great thing to do, but I can't do it. I've tried, but I can't. So, obviously, I do not mean literally. In terms of a metaphor for life, we're moving the labels. I think that's what it's like, a connectedness with everything. So, even though I might believe one thing or don't believe another, I don't really care what needs to be true. It's more about the relationship that you can do in a grounded way and what that would look like in a practical sense on a day-to-day basis. And if we do communicate with ourselves, if we do have a rapport, I think over time, this idea of spirituality might become so ingrained within us that we no longer feel a sense of guilt or shame over not being good enough. That really what we're basing our standards off of is not a worth from the outer, but a worth from within. And that can only happen if we're willing to listen. And to me, that is spirituality.